What is up, guys? Welcome back to another YouTube video. My name is Royce Chamberlin. I am a videographer based out in Tampa, Florida, and I film a lot. I film nonstop, and if you know, one of the biggest parts of filming, a side part we'll say, is the audio. It's very important to know the ins and outs, or I guess really the baseline, what you need to know for audio. It's very important. You have to make sure not only what you're seeing looks good, but what you're hearing sounds good. And I record a lot of different ways. I record with the shotgun mic on top of the camera. I record with SM7Bs for podcasts like this. I do handheld stuff, but in all of those scenarios, most likely I have a lapel on my person to capture audio, either as a backup or just as something that's gonna sound clear because there may be, they may be a distance away. They might not be as close or looking directly at the camera for something like a shotgun mic. And so what I use is the Zoom F2 Bluetooth. I said that very as if it was of great significance. It's not. I really don't use the Bluetooth function that much, but it's there, and this is the version that I have. I have it right here, the Zoom F2 Bluetooth field recorder. As you can see, it's a very small device, very tiny. It records internally. It's not wireless to the camera, so you do have to sync it up after the fact. But I've had issues in the past. I've used the Rode Wireless Go's, small little devices that connect wirelessly to the camera. And I will say 75–85% of the time, I've never had an issue, but sometimes there'll be a break in connectivity, and that point in the video is unusable, which is unfortunate. And so the biggest benefit for me, not the biggest, I'll actually get there, but a huge benefit for me is the fact that it records internally. That's big. Audio is always there, it's always recording, so even if I'm not filming, we're still capturing audio. That's really nice to have. Again, just as a backup. But with this little guy, the greatest feature that I think has ever been offered on something like this. I mean, as you can see, there's not many buttons on this. There's 5 buttons total and a little switcher and then a couple of ports on the top, and that's it. And you might be thinking to yourself, it must be difficult to set levels. You got to pull out your phone and use an app to make sure everything's right and sounds good. You don't. This tiny little recorder records in something called 32-bit float. Now, you may or may not know at all what that means. Imagine it like this. Imagine there is a line here, okay? Your audio's jumping like this, okay? This is the normal audio range, I guess. If someone yells, okay, you wanna be hitting these, all right? Let's say the audio one needs to be hitting these. If someone yells and it goes outside of that line, you're screwed. It's gonna sound awful, groggly, it's gonna peak, it's gonna clip, it's not gonna sound good. And then same thing, if we're supposed to be hitting these points right here, the lines are supposed to be hitting here, and someone's too quiet, and the lines just kind of go like this in the middle, and they never get to the point that they need to get to, it's gonna be unusable. It's gonna be too quiet, you're gonna have to raise it up all the way and post, and it's gonna sound really noisy then, you're gonna hear all the different little noises, and it's not gonna sound good. With 32-bit float, imagine the line here was this big and this small all at the same time. That may have been the worst possible explanation for how this works, but I hope you understand. Let me put it this way, no matter how loud you get or how quiet you get, the audio is perfect. If I'm on a shoot and I'm recording, I simply press the record button and that's it. Perfect audio every time. I've never, ever had an issue with it. I've never had it where it sounds bad. I've recorded in very loud, very quiet, very windy, noisy scenarios, and I've always been able to bring the levels down or up to a usable place without risking any quality at all. That is the greatest possible thing you could do when it comes to audio. If you're a videographer, audio is your arch nemesis. It's so annoying. If you're an audio guy, you understand it more and you probably love it and it's not that complicated to you. But to guys like me who are very visual and we're focusing on capturing the image and not an afterthought, but not our primary focus is the audio. I have become over the years quite knowledgeable of how audio works. And for this small, tiny device to have 32-bit float in it, something I can, stick it on them, click record, throw it in their pocket, and never have to worry about it, it's incredible. There's other features to this as well. As you can see, there's only a few buttons on it. There's a volume up, volume down. That's mainly for the headphone jack. You're able to plug in and listen to it or even listen to the playback There's a play and a stop button on it. That's also to listen to the playback where you'll plug in your headphones. And then there's this little switch thing here in the front, which is encapsulated in what is obviously the record button. There's a off, there's a on, and there's a hold. The hold button is very convenient, and thank God for whoever decided that we need this on this device, because they were right. Basically how this works is when I have everything on and recording, I can switch that sucker to hold, and none of these buttons on here do anything at that moment. It is thrown in someone's pocket. You can't stop it from recording. You can't mess anything up. You can't lower or higher anything. You can't mess with it. You can't turn it off. That's it. That's switched to there. It's locked there until I come in and move it, and it's stuck. Never have to worry about it. That's my process. I turn it on, hit record, switch it to hold, and I'm running with the bulls and not worrying about a thing. So that's the greatest thing in the world. I love this little device. It sounds great, and you may not have noticed, or you may have noticed, but over the course of this whole video, every bit of audio that you've been hearing has been coming from this little device right here, this tiny little thing. It sounds amazing. We're gonna do a side-by-side here in just a second, but I think it stacks up. It's a little lapel. I'm using the actual mic that comes with the Zoom. I think it's very high quality, but I think it stacks up pretty well to everything else out there, any other option. I mean, I'm sitting here with a much more expensive microphone in front of me, and you probably didn't even notice the difference. You probably were not looking at this and saying, that does not sound like the professional mic that he's got. No, you probably didn't notice at all. It probably sounds really good. And we'll do a comparison right here, okay? I'm now speaking to you through this very professional microphone. And now I'm back to the lapel. Hopefully, I'll know more when we watch this back, but hopefully you didn't hear that much of a difference, if any at all. And if you did, they both probably sound amazing. And if this does sound better, you gotta give it credit. It's the SM7B. It's incredible. It's an incredible mic, best podcast mic out there. But that's not what this video is about. We're talking about the Zoom F2 Bluetooth. Let's get back to the Bluetooth part of it. It does have an app that comes with it that allows you to move the baseline level if you want to. I've never touched it. I leave it at 0. It allows you to check the battery life on it, do a couple other things. The biggest flaw that I've seen on this device is you can't format the SD card from anywhere on the device or in the app. You have to take it out, put it into a computer to format it. It's a little bit inconvenient, a little bit. I like to be able to just say, hey, all my SD cards I know can be cleaned. Let me stick it in my device and wipe it. You can't do that here. It's a little bit more complicated. So that's a drawback. Other than that, it'd be sick if it could wirelessly transmit solidly to my camera, but it can't. But that's also not what it's built for. It's built to record internally and to be thrown in a pocket, and it does that part flawlessly. How much does this cost? I'll tell you exactly how much this costs. I have 2 of them. I use them all the time, and I think they're worth every penny. The Bluetooth version specifically, cost $218.49. 49 cents, I don't know what they're doing with that extra change, but it's gotta be worth it for them to throw in that 49 cents. There is, actually, let me find it for you guys. There's a non-Bluetooth version that I think is cheaper, but it's nice to have the app. I do find myself every once in a while logging on it just to check the battery. That's a little convenient. Other than that, you have a light indicator that'll turn orange when it's low and red when it's like, you should change this thing or you're gonna lose it. And green obviously means it's going. Okay, so the normal Zoom F2 is $179. I would say it's totally worth it to pay the $218 to have that Bluetooth capability. I have found it useful mainly just for, I guess, listening to playback or checking the battery on it. Other than that, I don't see much use in it. It doesn't really do much more than that. Again, you never have to set the levels, so that's kind of pointless to have there. You can start and stop the recording without having to reach into their pocket, but I still always like to say, hey, let me check your audio. They pass it to me and I can just see that all the lights are on, 2 green lights, battery's good, input's coming in, and we are recording. That's all you have to focus on, and then you're good. You forget about it. Forget about it, and you're good. And that's it, that's all it entails. It takes a micro SD card in the back. The back slot's a little bit annoying to get into. I found myself multiple times like frustrated trying to get the SD card out and open up that little slot. It's a little bit small, but the whole thing's small, so that's kind of a part of the deal. But other than that, I mean, that's really that this is. You know, that's all that this breaks down to be, is a small little recorder that records in glorious 32-bit float. So I hope this video helped you guys. I hope you guys learned something, and I hope you guys pick up one of these yourself. The link is in my description if you would like to. I highly recommend it if this is what you're wanting. Eventually in the future, I'm gonna get my hands on either the DJI or the Rode version of their newer wireless lapel mics, and I'll review those and maybe even stack it up against this and see. But I hope you guys like this video. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share, and I will see you guys in the next one.